The other day I carried my phone tab. I was writing on my notepad. For God's sake, notepad has nothing to do with internet. But because my data was on, suddenly I clicked notepad to write, and a young lady appeared on the screen opening her leg. I said, it was so embarrassing. What if somebody was passing? He would now say, look at Apostle.
You're welcome to Encounter Sermon. Stay blessed as you watch.
What are the requirements for height? I give you 5 of them quickly tonight. Number 1, the first thing that gives you power for ascension in the realm of God is purity. I will take it from the spiritual dimension first, because the spiritual is superior to the natural. If you lack purity, you will discover that infirmity is a burden. Infirmity is a weight. Iniquity is a weight. All of that will pull you down. In Hebrews chapter 12, verse 2, the writer was speaking, and he said, lay aside every weight that and sin that doth easily beset you, and run the race with patience. You know why many people cannot fly? They are heavy. Any equipment that wants to go high is designed to be light, because it will need that lightness as an advantage to gain height. But you see, in the spirit, one of the heaviest weight you will carry are iniquities and attitudes or lifestyle that are not consistent with the nature of God. And so when you find many people who are gifted yet struggling, check them. There is either a sin or a weight in their lives. And so a man who wants to gain ascension in the spirit, the first thing he needs to do is to rid himself of weight. As fast as Usain Bolt is, if Usain Bolt is carrying this AC, I will beat him in Olympics. It will no longer matter his capacity to run. He's carrying a weight. If I'm running with Usain Bolt and all of us are wearing tight, he will finish. I will still be close to the starting line. But if Usain Bolt makes the mistake of carrying this AC, no matter how fast he is, I will put my hand in the pocket and win him. The problem now is not his lack of speed. The problem is the weight he's carrying. Many people cannot ascend because they are carrying weights of immorality. They are carrying weights of lying. They are carrying weights of iniquity. So no matter what God does to them, in them, and through them, they can never ascend, because those weights will pull them down. That is why for anyone who wants to go high, ridding yourself of impurity must become your priority. See, you will take time and outline everything that makes it impossible for you to approach God. And you will pray consciously, Lord, remove this lying. Lord, remove this immorality. Lord, remove this pornography. Because if it is there, he will forgive you, but you cannot ascend. Every time you fornicate and you ask for forgiveness, he will forgive you, but you cannot ascend. Every time you live in sin, you ask for forgiveness, God will forgive you. It's his nature. But the problem is that you can never ascend. And so after many years, you will now discover you have missed too many seasons. And those seasons you have missed are supposed to be the staircases of your ascension. So every time you miss a season, you have missed a staircase. And you will look back later, after 30 years, you are on the same spot. Iniquity has robbed many people of ascension. He said, who shall ascend the mountains of the Lord? Who shall stand upon his holy hills? He said, him that is of a clean hands, him that is of a pure heart. So the first credential for ascension in the realm of God is purity. In 1 Peter 2:11, hear what Peter said. He said, dearly beloved, I beseech you as strangers and pilgrims, abstain from fleshly lust, which wages war against your soul. So when you are living in sin, what you don't know is that the power of your soul is what you are spending from. It said fleshly lust wages war. Why do you think many young people today cannot have strategic decision-making power? Why do you think many young men today lack the needed inspiration to move their life forward? And the way destiny works is that what can affect your 10 years can happen in a second. You just missed the moment. You sat with somebody, the right words to speak didn't come. It's after the person left, you now remember what you should have said. What that person walking away, that's your 10 years going. Because what that person should have done, if you said the right thing, would have affected the next 10 years. But you see, you have spent of your mental power when you were giving yourself to iniquity. It says, flee youthful lust. It wages war against your soul. Proverbs 4:23 says, guard your heart with all diligence. Out of it are the issues of life. Too many of us are missing our moments. We are missing our seasons. Why? Because the inspiration didn't come at the right time. Sex, immorality, lying, hypocrisy, exaggeration, all of these things has thwarted the circuit of flow of inspiration. And so every time you are knowing what you should say at the wrong time, Every time you are approaching the moment of your visitation at the wrong time. And so all of these spiritual cycles are taking place, but you are the one missing out. And so you will discover that somebody who carried your 5 years just left. You didn't meet him. Somebody who carried your 10 years had a conversation with you. You spoke for 1 hour. You didn't know what to say. Or you were saying only the wrong things. And when you were done talking and he left, he never remembers that he met you. And he just left with your future. Because you have allowed iniquity to stain your soul. Every time you stain yourself with iniquity, I tell you, you have wasted your future. Why do you think? See, the devil is smart. He knows these things. Hope you know that he was a cherub. He operated in the courts of God. He knows how God works. And so when you look at the world today, almost 80% of every activity in the world today is designed to suggest sin and iniquity. The other day I carried my phone tab. I was writing on my notepad. For God's sake, notepad has nothing to do with internet. But because my data was on, suddenly I clicked notepad to write, and a young lady appeared on the screen opening her leg. I said, it was so embarrassing. What if somebody was passing? He would now say, look at Apostle. I was shocked and embarrassed at the same time. So they are forcing iniquity down your throat. Because the devil knows that the eye is a gate. The ear is a gate. The moment you see it, the brain will go to work. And then some people sit there. They are processing pornography, processing immorality for 24 hours in every 48 hours. You think that kind of person can host a project that will affect worry? Do you know the mental energy that goes into a project that has a statewide scale? Do you know the mental power that goes into processing a project that has a national scale? I tell you, you will not have that ability. If I give you my schedule for the past 2 weeks, you'll be shocked. The reason I am fresh is because I have not allowed iniquity into my chamber. Because if he enters, it will kill me. I returned on the 1st. I flew to the United Kingdom for a conference. Landed on the 2nd, sort things out. From the 3rd, we had a meeting with volunteers. 4th and 5th, we had the meeting. The next day, I had to fly to Edinburgh in Scotland. I ministered that night. The next day, I flew back to London. Ministered. The next day, I flew to Aberdeen. I flew to Glasgow. Ministered for 2 nights and flew to Aberdeen. Ministered the next day. As I finished that Sunday morning, I told my wife, gather your bags. We scheduled my flight. I'm going to Nigeria. And that night, I came back to London, flew to Abuja. On Tuesday, I arrived Monday. Tuesday was Bible study. I thought on Wednesday, I had to go to Benue to defend my PhD of document. And I was reading. Because I've switched from one word to another. I left the spirit world into chemistry. Nobody will ask you John 3:16 there. When I go there, I'm talking nanochemistry. And so my brain had to switch. And immediately, I was able in 24 hours to internalize 248-page textbook. Because that was my PhD thesis research. And you also have to prove to them that you are adding value to humanity. Because PhD is not undergraduate. You must add something to knowledge. And in 20 minutes, I was done talking. It didn't finish. They now say, sit down. And you are facing 7 professors. And they're asking you questions from everywhere in chemistry. And they expect you to answer. How can your brain function like that if you are thinking pornography? If you are thinking masturbation? How can you function? When I finish, they say, go, you can call yourself a doctor. You don't gain height until purity comes into your chamber. Because it has something to do with your capacity. And as I finished from there, I came back to Abuja on Thursday night because I finished around 3 p.m. I hit the road 5 hours, traveled to Abuja. On Friday, I had to fly to Akwa Ibom. I was in Akwa Ibom. I switched back to the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. I preached there, preached the next morning, flew back to Abuja on Saturday. In the afternoon, I was in Foursquare Gospel Church. And I ministered there. Sunday, I ministered. In the evening, I returned to encounter Jesus and still ministered. And you keep that schedule round the clock. I've not told you about my family life. I've not told you about my business. I've not told you about my relationship with God. Do you think global things come cheap? It will take a lot of mental power. It will draw life out of you. That's why you cannot afford to waste life on iniquity. That's why you cannot afford. He said, I looked through the window. I saw a young man void of understanding. He said he was walking the path of death because he went the way of the harlot. The moment you journey the way of iniquity, the Bible calls it the path of death. Because there, your strength is wasted. There, your life is wasted. There, your energy is wasted. And so when the matters of destiny confront you, you are weak. You are helpless. You are vulnerable. And you don't know why you never ascend. Iniquity comes to eat you up. It comes to eat you up. And that's why Peter said to flee from these things. You think you are having fun? You are eating your life. Every young man who wants to be impactful must know how to keep his or her vessel. Because there will be many demands on your strength. There will be many demands on your mental power. There will be many demands on your life. And at all times, you must be fresh. It's not enough to be present. You have to be fresh. You have to be your best. And for you to remain like that, purity, you cannot compromise on it. I'm telling you why many never ascend. When they come to matters of their destiny, they are so weak. They are so tired. And you are wondering, you are just 24 years old. Why are you so tired? Meanwhile, our fathers who are in their 80s are still very agile, going about their business as if they are in their 20s. And then you see people who are in their 20s so weak because they have sapped out the energy of their destiny through iniquity. They've sapped out the energy of their destiny through impurity. And so the only thing they are good for is to sit down and gossip and talk what does not matter and argue football and talk about a gear and talk about nonsense that cannot impact their destiny. You are seeing a man who should affect a nation. He sits down from morning till night watching a seasonal movie because there's no energy. He cannot see. Matters of destiny come with demand. It takes a lot of demand to think. It takes a lot of energy to process. He doesn't have it. So all he can do is to sit down and waste away. And the root of it is impurity. The root of it is iniquity. If you want to ascend the hills of the Lord, he said your hands must be pure. Your heart must be pure. That means you must not be involved in anything that has to do with sin and iniquity. Peter said, run away from fleshly lusts. Run. If somebody brings something that has the stain of iniquity on it, run. Paul said, flee every appearance of evil. Flee. Don't wait. That's why Joseph succeeded. When Potiphar's wife said, come and sleep with me, he said, no, I cannot do this evil. The woman grabbed him. The guy took off. If you stand there, you will fall. And most of you stood, you thought you were strong. And later you came back weeping because you don't know the formula. The formula is to flee. When somebody comes with lying and gossip, flee. When somebody comes with immorality, flee. God is telling you that he wants to promote you. And suddenly a boy that you didn't talk to for 4 years now wakes up and says, Jennifer, are you still alive? See the way you have abandoned me. And then you say, no be so. No be who? Where are you coming from? I'm about to enter a new season. Why do they come at those junctions? You think the devil does not know? You that was cold, you attended many meetings. The only revival meeting you went to and caught fire, you are coming home. And then somebody called you and said, sorry, is that Matthew? You say, yes. Because you heard a voice that sounded, is that Matthew? You are about to sink into the grave. Matthew, why did you throw me away like this? Did I do anything? If I did anything, I'm sorry. Off your phone, delete the number and block it. It's a pit. You are about to be swallowed into a pit. Have sense, sir. Have sense. Destiny is at stake. You think demons are not watching? Listen, Jesus was 8 days old. They already saw his star. And they knew he would be a king. Every season of your ascension, the devil knows. And he will look for something that is a weakness. He will look for something that is a pattern in your bloodline. He knew what your great-grandfather fell to. He knew what your grandfather fell to. He knows what your father fell to. He will bring it to you. 90% of the chance, you too will fall. Because if Abraham loved fair women, Isaac will love fair women. Jacob will love fair women. If Abraham lies to a king, Isaac will lie to a king. Jacob will lie. The devil knows. He has the whole curriculum vitae of your family. And he will take from it every strategic season. And so what wise men do is that they run from iniquity. They don't stand to fight it. They don't stand to explain. They don't show that they are strong. They run. It's when you have run away, you now look back. If you still see any sign, add some mileage. It's needed for ascension. Flee from every appearance of evil. Your future depends on it.
I believe you have been blessed by this message from God's servant, Apostle Micheal Orokpo. Please do what to subscribe to this YouTube channel. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell. Thank you.